Greetings everyone, this is Darren Austin Hall coming to you from beautiful Mother Earth in Costa Rica, where she is very loud and proud, and the summer solstice is incoming. A new gateway, a new portal, and just like the ancient ones, I love to bridle to these seasonal festivities as a way to connect to Mother Earth and all her different rhythms and flows, and as well to connect to the field, the morphogenetic field of ancestral ritual that has been practiced for thousands and thousands of years on these days, as we connect to the ancestors. As a beautiful blue morpho butterfly, little baby one, has been flying around me for the last few minutes as I'm preparing for this message. And for years I've given messages on solstices and equinoxes because it really is a time to check in with nature, the nature that we are, to check in with Gaia, and to celebrate her in all the churnings and the transformations that she undergoes throughout the year, which is mutually churning and transforming us. And of course, in the northern latitudes of the world where the summer solstice is celebrated today, we are celebrating the great zenith, the peak of light, when the light is in its fullest splendor. It is the longest day of light of the year. And so it is a day to celebrate our utmost splendor and brilliance, and welcoming the energies of the summer, which is a time of joy, a time of zest, where we bring our highest growth potentials to their fruition, just like the flowers bloom to their fullest and nature is in its most lush and verdant during the summer. And I also wanted to share today that kind of the theme that I've been thinking about a lot. I've been doing a lot of talks lately on eco-spirituality and the new earth, especially in preparation of the launch of my Honor All Creation journey, which will be launching in July. This idea of how important it is to live a life of higher purpose in connection with these mythologies that are starting to be co-created by activated and awakened human beings, such as this idea of the new earth story. And to just preface, this idea of the new earth is not something that's necessarily caged in the new age communities. This is actually something that a lot of indigenous wisdom keepers speak about, and a lot of visionaries are speaking about the world over. This notion that we live in a great time of shift, of awakening, of transformation. And as positive as that might sound, it's also harrowing in the sense that this time really entails us to go through deep shifts and changes in our nature, whether it's our individual nature, but also in the nature of our communities and the remaking of the world. Now, you might have noticed that in this lifetime, we've had to go through a lot of upheavals. There's tremendous adversities that we're facing as a species as we come to grips with this kind of broken relationship with Mother Earth, this transgression of the sacred laws of the ecology of the earth. And of course, we're reckoning with that in a massive way with climate change, the environmental crisis, the pollution that is rife around the world, and just the loss of life that we've been directly causing in animals and plant species the world over. And we now have reached a point where our very existence, by this materialistic worldview that we've been sort of living, and the greed and the selfishness of human supremacy complex, we've really reached a point where we're being dealt this kind of sobering humble pie, where we're realizing that we cannot live longer on this planet in this way of life. And the new earth idea, put through the words of a beautiful elder, Dave Crushane Jr., who's been one of my teachers, leading Earth Manis and an Anishinaabe elder, he talks about how we're entering actually a time of great cleansing, where Mother Earth is actually going to be basically changing and transforming to kind of right the karmic imbalances that we have caused on the planet. And of course, we're seeing that in things like climate change. And what can be really hard for us to realize is that in our kind of human supremacy complex, in this bubble that we've been creating in our civilization, these closed worlds of living in the cities where we've really cut ourselves off from the continuum and the chains of nature and cause and effect, we're now realizing that there are these greater karmic cycles as we're revealing and being exposed to with the great swings and the chaos that's been created in the environment of the world. And this is something that we're just going to have to reckon with. And moving forward, it's going to be about who on this planet, amidst our species, is here for the earth, is here to really recommit to healing this great wound of separation that we have created, where we have become not only severed our relationship to the ecology of the planet, working in tandem with the web of life, but we in ourselves individually has become very disembodied. We're not in touch with our hearts. We're not living through the wisdom of our hearts, which is where a lot of the ancient ones say Mother Earth, the living goddess, some call Gaia or Sophia, speaks through us and relentlessly guides us. And it's that guidance that we need now more than ever, because we're entering into a kind of dark night of the collective soul, where we're going to be challenged more than ever. All the ways of life that we've been living that have been kind of opposed to nature and opposed to the earth are slowly starting to decay and collapse and fall apart. And of course, that's very intense to witness. But in endings, there's always the opportunity for new beginnings. And we have to be hopeful, defiantly hopeful and positive, to find the ways to really realign with Mother Earth. So this higher purpose that we're all being invited into is to live life in this quest. Can we not only save ourselves and our species and the generations to come, but we need to save our relationship with the earth primarily. This is a great calling that all human beings are being called forth to in this moment. This is a great calling, a great quest, a great adventure that brings us a transpersonal purpose that is so inspiring, that is so transcendent of the mundane conditioning of society, which gives us these kind of vain purposes of amassing material wealth and maybe one day retiring somewhere where it's warm. Nay, this is about really asserting a unified purpose that we can collectively all get on board with. And that's why there is a sweetness to this adversity that we're dealing with. This idea of the new earth, the idea of us coming together, co-creating and giving birth to a new culture, even a whole new eco-spiritual civilization, is a calling for us all in this moment. It is time each and every day to pray to your spirits, to pray to your ancestors, to pray to the ones that have come before, and to pray to Mother Earth. It's time to once again start lighting up the pathways of spirit, to realize that we have so much support in the mystical realms, and that materialism has kind of cut us off from this ability to realize that all around us there are worlds upon worlds of spirit, where there are allies, there are allegiances to be made, and we need to make them now more than ever. But the most important thing we need to do is we need to realize that Mother Earth is a living presence on this planet, and we are all her children. It is not just a beautiful material physical planet that we're trying to save. We're actually trying to save the consciousness that is within that planet, the great mother, what some of the ancient ones called Gaia and Sophia, the goddess of wisdom. What I've learned working with indigenous teachers and shamans and many other visionary spiritual teachers is that the greatest teacher of humanity is in fact the earth, Mother Earth herself. Upon even just simple reflection, you can acknowledge that most of the things that we've learned are from observing nature itself. Even great minds like Leonardo da Vinci, who was left-handed, so he couldn't attend school at the time because of prejudice, he learned all of his genius by just going into nature and just observing how water flowed, how the winds changed, how nature worked, and that was the root of all his inventions. When we look at the great yogis from India, the great enlightened philosophies of the Vedic culture, we actually discover that the yogis were called the forest-dwelling sages. They literally spent time in nature, simply observing, listening, watching, learning from nature, her laws, her ways, getting in touch with the goddess. Even Gautama Buddha, on his ultimate challenge by Mara, the king of the demons, asked, "Who says this isn't just some kind of personal insanity that you say you're enlightened?" And Buddha pressed a finger to the ground and said, "She is my witness." There's this brilliant acknowledgement in the ancient ones, and this is something that has been lost, if not even intentionally blocked from our view, that we are living on the body and within the soul of a great goddess. And this goddess is alive in ways, mysterious ways, and beautiful ways that we are now being asked to reclaim and discover. This is one of the higher universal purposes that we're all called forth to, which the superficial realms of the environmental crisis are calling us into. How can we all come together to face this collective adversity? But when we discover the opportunities in resolving this adversity, the opportunity to reconnect to the earth, to go back to her land, to go back to her beauty, to go back to her mysticism, to re-enchant our connection, we realize this is actually one of the most beautiful opportunities of our life. It's the opportunity to step forth with all the passion of our ancestors and live what they have sought to live. Many who were persecuted for their mysticisms. We are being asked to step forward with all of them with us. So call on all of them, all of the ones that loved the earth so that they lived for many, many, many centuries, if not longer, generations, in touch with her, listening to her, living by her wisdom. This is our opportunity, and the great effulgence, the great light of the summer solstice shines to illuminate this purpose within us all. This is the new earth. This is the story that we are all being invited to co-create together. Each one of us has medicines that we've been born with, gifts that are specific to this time that we are living in, this great time of turning, of shift. And it's time to bring those medicines forward, to step in our power, and to realize that we have the ability to change the world and create the world that we've all been dreaming in our hearts. I know that we've all seen it, we all feel it, the paradise that could be found if we return to our mother, if we return to the land. So I plead to you in the months ahead and the days ahead, make sure each and every day you're spending time on land, even if it's just in a park in a city, and just extend some of your consciousness to connect to the earth and be open to receive her wisdom, to listen to her. We actually need to spend much more time in nature with Mother Earth, for she also restores and heals us. When we think of this miracle that we call in medical science homeostasis, what is that? Homeostasis means that when we rest, things naturally get restored and repaired. That nature in itself is always bringing us back to integrity and healing. That is such a miracle, such a salvation in itself. And homeostasis does not just simply mean the physical body. When you spend time in nature, you realize homeostasis is all about harmonizing our minds, our emotions, our hearts, our spirits. So the more time we spend in nature, the more time we just simply naturally heal by the boon of nature itself. What a wonderful thing. What a thing that we should be honoring each and every day, that we live on this beautiful world, in this beautiful human body, this beautiful human consciousness. All of it, according to some of our ancestors, designed and creating lovingly by the goddess herself that is now the earth. What a marvelous thing. So I invite you all in this summer solstice to raise your prayers, lift them up to Mother Earth. Send her your love. Send her your earnest heart. Send her your wounds. Ask for her healing, and she will speak to you by the words of the wind, in the perfume of the flowers. You will hear her voice in your dreams. You will hear her everywhere, for we are truly living in the soul of a great, living, divine being. And we share and we revel in that divine beingness ourselves in our beautiful human soul. So if you'll join me, just closing your eyes and seeing that light in your heart, that divine spark, that spark that is shared by all the great divinities of this world, of this universe, that has been placed so lovingly within the human soul. And see that light glimmering, and feel that light glimmering with the light that is now suddenly all around us as the soul of Mother Earth. And feel the great galaxy of her radiant arms holding you, loving you as a child of her own, restoring a sense of the great Gaian family that we are all part of. Mama Gaia, Mama Sophia, Mother Earth, we love you and we honor you. We thank you for this divine life and this miracle of a world that we call our planetary home. We wish to awaken and rise with you as our ancient ones have prophesied for this amazing time. We aspire to bridle to your wisdom, to return to your wondrous ways and trust that you have our best in mind, and that by living in the endless learning of your wisdom, infinite joys are before us. Thank you, Mother Earth. Beautiful bee joining me here too. Butterflies. I see these as beautiful blessings of the goddess. So wherever you are, sending you so much love from this beautiful land of Pura Vida in Costa Rica. May Mother Earth be with you today and all days. And I'll leave you with the words of the great poet John Keats, who himself was such a pastoral lover of the earth. Beauty is truth. Truth is beauty. And that is all you need to know in this mortal life. May her beauty and her truth become you. Thank you.